Dear English postgraduates, striving PGTRB English examination competitors, greetings to all of you. Welcome to the platform of Fluency School of English to get ready for the race of PGTRB English examination. Fluency School of English is a wonderful diving platform for you to swim across the race, the PGTRB English examination. In this program, we are going to correct the gist of the book 1 of the Fairy Queen. This gist of book 1 is very long, so it has been set into 3 parts, being this one is the third part consisting the cantos 9, 10, 11 and 12. I once again remind you that this is an allegorical poem. Spirituality and its elements are portrayed with human behavior as its pursuance. The pursuits of holiness by the human soul and its hindrances, struggles and achievements are the central theme of the entire poem. In Book 1, Human Soul is the human shape by Dane the Red Cross Knight has been detailed. The human soul meets many challenges by the evil forces that assume various disguises. The disguise is a pre-planned trap of deception. Deception is the ultimate goal of dragon, to fell down the soul. Human mind is very fragile, that is susceptible to deception, which is the only violent weapon of the Saturn. So the poet uses disguise as his prime device to bring out the events of the story that many characters are disguised to achieve their goals. The poet also says that the soul in pursuance of perfection meets many unexpected challenges and twists, and so it has to constantly fight all the opposing evil forces. Hope you will enjoy the travel with me. Be with me until the last. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and also don't fail to send your feedback. Thank you. Best wishes. The Fairy Queen, Book 1, Part 3, Cantos 9, 10, 11 and 12. Una asks Adar to tell them both his name and lineage. Painful Adar says that he does not know who his parents were. Adar says he grew up in Wales and was tutored by the magician Merlin. Una asks what brought him to fairyland. Adar says it was the love of Maid who appeared to him for a short time, and she called herself the Queen of Fairies. Adar says he was in search for her in fairyland for the past 9 months. Red Cross and Una sympathize for him, but now Red Cross and Una must continue on the quest. After exchanging gifts, they leave Arthur. They continue toward Una's school, but Una is worried that her Scott is now too weak to defeat the dragon who is keeping her parents captive. They see a knight running towards them in fright. His name is Sir Trevisan. Sir Trevisan claims to be freeing a terrible man named Despair. This despair had already caused one of Trevisan's friends, Terwin, to kill himself. That means self-killing. Red Cross is eager to challenge Despair. Trevisan reluctantly leads them to the cave where Despair and a gloomy old man sits. There they see Terwin's body. Red Cross decides to exact revenge upon Despair. But the old man remains calm and wearily asks Red Cross what problem he has with death. He, despair even knows of Red Cross sins and weakness and almost persuades the knight to take his own life. Una steps in and stops him and pulls him out of the cave of despair. Una, seeing her knight's weakness and need of help, she leads him to a house of holiness. In the house of holiness, Celia reigns with her three daughters, Fidelia, Speranza, and Carissa, and many other virtuous people live there with them. Celia greets Una, and hearing Red Cross's condition, commands her daughters to aid his recovery. Celia greets Una, and hearing of Red Cross's condition, commands her daughters to aid his recovery. Fidelia preaches him discipline and the gospel. Speranza comforts him so that his sins do not again lead to despair. Next, hard patience and bitter penance make him suffer for the crimes he has committed. See, hard patience and bitter penance are not the daughters. Carissa comes to Red Cross and can him instruct in every good behest of love and righteousness and the will to done, benevolence, honesty and righteousness. Carissa comes to Red Cross and can him instruct in every good behest of love and righteousness and well to done. That means benevolence, honesty and righteousness. She instructs all these three things. After instructing him, Carissa takes him to a hospital where 7 charitable men tend to his physical ailments. Our fully recovered Red Cross receives one more grace. He is taken up to a high hill by contemplation, a voice of old hermit. Contemplation, Tamil, Sindanai. There he can see the New Jerusalem, God's city, and Cleopolis, the city of the fairy queen. Contemplation tells Red Cross his history and future, that he is not a fairy but born from a mortal king, and he was stolen by a fairy and brought to fairyland. Contemplation tells he is destined to become a great saint of England, and his true name is George. Amazed by this news, Red Cross returns down the hill to the house of holiness. Una is eager to make for his castle, and so they soon depart. At last, Una leads Red Cross to her native soil. As they approach her parents' castle, they hear the terrible roar of a dragon. Red Cross has Una stand aside at a distance and confront the dragon. The dragon is covered in a flawless coat of scales stronger than any metal. The dragon has a long tail with razor-sharp spikes. The dragon has a powerful wings that carry him to meet the night. The dragon grabs them in its massive claws and lifts them into the air. Red Cross struggles until the dragon lets them down. Red Cross strikes one of the beast's wings. The dragon knocks Red Cross off his horse. Red Cross takes his sword and slices the dragon's head, but it only stuns the dragon. The dragon lets out a fiery breath that scorches the whole field. Red Cross's armor is heated so much that it burns him. The dragon knocks him backward to kill, but the knight fortunately falls back into the well of life. Here means the Red Cross. Red Cross falls into the well of life. The dragon assumes it has won. It's a false assumption. Una fears the worst for her hero. The next morning, Red Cross emerges as a good news. The magical power of the boil water has made him and his blade stronger. He confronts the dragon again and cuts a deep wound in the beast's head. The dragon is furious to see the knight still alive. The dragon wounds across the shoulder with his sails and then tries to pull away the sacred shield with his claws. The knight cuts off the claws. He retreats again and falls, this time into a swamp. That means this time he falls into a swamp where a sacred tree grows, which, like the well, has magical healing powers. Another night passes. The dragon nurses its wounds. On the same day, Red Cross emerges from a grove refreshed and healed. The dragon is furious to see the knight still alive. It wildly opens his mouth, intending to swallow its opponent wholly. That he wants to swallow Red Cross, so that he opens his mouth, bending his neck. But Red Cross rams his sword deep into the dragon's throat. The beast crashes to the earth like a mountain falling from heaven, and it is dead. Una's father and mother, the king and queen of that land, see the defeat of the dragon and rush to give thanks to Red Cross. The whole kingdom now comes out and celebrates with music, parades, feastings, and many gifts for the victorious knight. All expect Red Cross to marry Una. Red Cross announces that he still has a duty to serve the fairy queen for 6 years in a battle against the proud king. Una's father agrees that after the time his daughter shall marry the knight. A messenger runs onto the scene. The messenger claims that the engagement cannot be made because Red Cross has already pledged his hands to another woman. The king demands an explanation. Red Cross tells him that the woman is Duessa, who only got his pledge by deceit and witchcraft. He gave his love to an imaginary woman, Fedisa, played by Duessa. Now he sees the truth, and so he is free to love another. Una seconds all of this and also suggests that they examine the messenger to see if he is disguised as well. In fact, it tends to be an Archimago. The celebration of the engagement continues until the Red Cross must sadly leave to fulfill his duty and destiny. Thanks, best wishes. That's all, dear.